Good morning, my beautiful friends. Today I just want to talk to you about what's going on in the world and what I think that we can do for ourselves to feel better and to work towards a better, more peaceful, happy world. So friends, I thought today would be a good day to talk about what's going on in the world and how it's impacting us and how we can help ourselves to live a happier, more stress-free, peaceful life. First of all, I truly believe that there's no possible way that all of these people can be agreeable to do all of these evils across the world without something bigger behind that action. And I'm going to explain what I mean. If we as beings, spiritual and physical beings, are blocking off good energy, if we're not channeling in God energy, happiness, joy, peace, truth, light, inclusion, love, especially love, then we're open channels for the opposite, which is the manipulation, the corruption. Basically, we're just open to evil. And there is supernatural good and there's supernatural evil. There's darkness and there's light. There's God and there's Satan, right? We have all, I believe, most of us anyway, have had experiences in our physical lives where we have come across mysterious happenings, or we've had strange feelings about something, or a premonition, or just really a supernatural experience of some sort, whether it was a dark experience or a godly experience. I myself have had many on both sides throughout my whole life. And I used to wonder sometimes why I felt like I was getting attacked, even by my own parents, especially my father and my stepmother. They did a lot of harm to me, and they still do. They keep truth from me. They keep me excluded from the rest of the family. They lie. They do subtle, covert things to hurt me, and they've done that pretty much my whole life. And I used to wonder about that. I used to think, why can't they understand what they're doing to me? Because they're not doing it to the other children in the family. Or, why is this happening to me? Is there something about me? And yes, there is something about me. The something about me is that I'm very empathetic, I'm very spiritual, I see the truth, I point out things that are uncomfortable for them because they want to keep it hidden and covert. And I had a godly intervention, quite literally, and I've heard that this has happened to other people. I had all of the despair, the hurt, the anger, all of that taken out of my spiritual energy by an angel. That angel is carrying that. And I'm forever grateful to that angel, and I feel so sad sometimes and regretful that they're carrying that, because I know what that feels like, because I had to carry it throughout a lot of my life. But the good part of that is that that angel is only carrying it for a short time, because when my father and my stepmother pass, the angel is going to unload that energy of darkness and despair and hurt and pain and anger onto their souls, and they will carry it for all of eternity. I hate to say that. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. I kept trying over and over and over again to be included, to talk to them, to be their friend. I would drive cross country every Christmas. The last time I drove there, they decided to not even tell me they were leaving, and they went out to another province in Canada. Didn't even have the respect or the care or the love to even let me know that they were not even going to be there for Christmas. My father did stay behind, but my siblings and my stepmother were gone. So, I mean, I've tried over and over again. I've written letters. I have talked to them on the phone. I have left messages. I offered, hey, what if we just start over again and be friends? I'd like to do that. No, I was just ignored. My father would give me little tiny breadcrumbs of, I want to get back into your life and talk to you again. And then I would start to talk to him and he'd disappear again just to hurt me. And now I realize something. They have absolutely no connection to God of heaven. None whatsoever. They have no comprehension of that, no wish for that, no connection whatsoever. So what's happening is they're channeling in evil to hurt me because I'm working for God. I help people. I've saved people's lives. I am proud of that. I help people out of the darkness and out of their pain every single day of my life. I don't even take a vacation without taking my clients with me that I'm helping every day. And I've been doing that for years and years. And I didn't understand what kind of occupation I should have for the longest time, but I would do what I do now as an occupation naturally anyway, which was give advice, give information, kind of be there for people, have ideas. I used to, when I was younger, dream about, my family needing me and they would come to live with me and I would take care of them and we would all live happily. We would cook and have fun and all of this. When I was really little, I used to pretend that I was part of the Waltons, the Walton family, and I would say, "Good night, John Boy. Good night, Elizabeth. Good night, Mary Ellen." Because I had no family. My biological mother suffered from what I believe is probably low-grade borderline personality disorder, a lot of depression. She has control issues. So I went through that as well, and severe neglect. She had a hard time expressing any type of love and was never really happy. I don't remember very often her smiling. I didn't get I love yous or hugs or playful times, or we didn't go out shopping together or anything like that. That was just not a thing. And usually she wouldn't even look up from her newspaper or whatever she was doing when I came into the house, even when I was little. So that was the kind of background that I came from. But I came to that realization that what's actually happening with them is they have no real connection to God. I think that in my mother's case, though, it wasn't as evil and as intentional as it was with my father and my stepmother, because she actually grew up in a home where she wasn't really cared for either and didn't know how to love and didn't receive love. So in her case, she tries to be a Christian. She goes to church and things like that. She just doesn't really understand the concept of what it means to be a true godly person. Just really kind of be in service to others, but not to the degree that you hurt yourself. Actually, they call this situation the scapegoat child, the black sheep of the family. But the reality of it is, it's almost always the child that sees the truth, that points out the injustice, that wants to know what's happening, that, asks, well, hey, what's this? What's that? Why did you do this? That this is wrong. It's almost always the child that is the one that's closer to truth and the light, and that's headed for that in their life path, that ends up being the scapegoat child, the black sheep of the family, and then they are tormented by the others because they're not true godly people around them. So, for example, my sisters were brought up to ignore me, that I didn't matter. I was older, so, don't include me, don't include her. Don't worry about it. It's all about what you feel. You don't have to show any respect to your sister or anything like that. So, and they're also ungodly. I think that there is actually one sister that tried to head in that direction because she married a Christian man who was, I heard, quite devoted to Christianity. So perhaps she tried to understand God at some point. And she actually did visit me one time, and her husband did stay with me for a couple of days, which was very nice. That was probably well over 10 years ago. But, the reason I guess I started on this topic is because it's true, and it's who I am, and it's what I went through, and I think a lot of you also have gone through this and maybe don't have an understanding of what's actually happening, that there's actually a larger supernatural evil behind all of it to hurt the ones on the planet that are here to be of assistance to people, that are here to help others and to expose evil, to remind people that there are demonic energies, there is satanic energy here. I think that a lot of us too have experienced something like that, where you got really creeped out, or you had a really bad, scary, anxious feeling in a certain place, or you even saw something that was perhaps what you thought was a ghost or a demon, or you had something happening to you. Maybe you were in a building and you were sick all the time for no reason. You couldn't find the answer to that. These demonic energies can hurt us physically. I know this for a fact because this has actually happened to me on more than one occasion. So I've had pretty big experiences on both sides of the spectrum, the evil spectrum, the spectrum of God, happen to me. I've had a miracle happen for me after I prayed intently for about 7 to 8 hours straight. I might tell you about that later in another video, but I think going back to the original topic that I meant to really touch base on is how to help ourselves through this time in the world, right? Is really our connection to the Lord of Heaven, knowing that we have angels around us, we have godly energy around us, and we can channel that in through ourselves on purpose, with intent, with love in our hearts, and an openness to that, and we close the door on anything evil. So focusing on truth and love and inclusion and service, kindness. Now, we're not perfect beings, and I too falter from this from time to time. I too will have an emotion I wish I didn't have, or say something I wish I didn't, or have a behavior that I could have checked myself on, right? There's much less of that for me now than there used to be. When I was young, I was quite angry because I was quite hurt by what was happening to me and couldn't understand it. And that was another thing my family would then point the finger at me. Oh, you're so bad, after they would cause me to have these behaviors. For example, my father took my little brother, out of school when he was just about to start grade 6. And he literally, physically gave my brother to a 34-year-old alcoholic pedophile that had been grooming my brother by giving him boxes of chocolate bars and spending time with him and taking him to the slushy store where he worked, and he'd spend time with him at his home. And I went to that home. I spent time in that home too, because I was the bigger sister, a few years older than my brother. And there were pictures of little boys all over the place, portraits of them, posters of them, This person's name was Dennis, and he was with another young man who had become homeless that he took in. And then that boy became my boyfriend temporarily. I was either 14 or I had just turned 15 at the time. I may have been 14. So I knew what was happening in that house. So Dennis came over to our house to pick up Peter, and my dad was more than happy to give Peter away to go live with Dennis. And out of school in the 6th grade. He literally didn't go to school anymore. I was so angry. I started yelling and, you can't do that, how dare you, and things like that. And I was the bad one. I was the one that was reacting. I was the one that was behaving badly in their eyes, right? And then my brother was gone. And I didn't know, is there some protection? Can I call the police about this? Is there Child Protective Services at that time? I didn't know. I still don't know if that was something that I could have done at that time. I don't know. We were living in Canada, in Toronto. And my brother ended up being with that pedophile for 10 years. And to this day, he doesn't want to talk about that. Of course he doesn't, And then people look at my father and my stepmother as being these great people that took in all of these low-functioning foster kids. Well, they took in all those low-functioning foster kids because they were making a ton of money off of them, and that was the bottom line. They were making buku bucks off of these kids. I think they may still even have these kids. They've had them for over 25 years. They had a whole bunch of them, and then they got a staff in there to take care of them and things like that. My stepmother and my father inherited a bunch of money from my grandmother, but they wouldn't let us know what was in the will, even though it was a tiered will, and we were supposed to be able to understand that. But my stepsisters know all about it. And my stepsister, that's much younger than me, is now the executor of the estate that I know nothing about. Who does that to a child that they love? Nobody. Nobody would do that to a child that they love. Even my brothers weren't appointed executor of the estate when my father passes away. And they're much older than my stepsister as well. So you can see the evil here in different ways. And this is compounded so much. Things like this over decades, right? So if you're going through that, just know that there's nothing wrong with you. There's something wrong with them. They're channeling in demonic forces that are against you or I, because we are channeling in the energy of God. We want to work in truth and light and love and help others and be loved. And that's a problem for Satan. That's a problem for the demonic. That's a bad taste in their mouth, boy. They do not like that energy. That energy is something that they cannot consume, right? They consume chaos, anger, fear, sadness, anxiety. They feed off of that because they are energy supernatural beings that we normally can't see unless, sometimes we can see them, but not very often, right? We eat physical food because we're of the physical world. We're a spiritual being, but we're in a physical body. These are supernatural beings with no physical body. Which brings me to AI, right? We are seeing all of this stuff happening with blockchain, Bitcoin, digital ID, AI, flock cameras, databases, and everything like that. And that too has something behind it. It has the demonic behind it, right? Because if the demonic can control what we think, what we feel, then it can control how close we get to God, what our thought process is towards God, right? If we are going to be a problem for it by swaying others toward God and away from the demonic, which away from fear, away from sadness, away from control, all of that. We are gifted free will by God. Satan wants to take the free will away from us. Satan wants to take our humanity away from us. Because in that way, he's pulling us away from God, right? Stealing from God, capturing pieces of God and twisting it, right? These are things I think we need to remember. These are important things to think about. And when we're thinking about that too, right? Instead of being in fear or anger or upset, try to remember that we are eternal beings and we can get through all of this. We can get through losing our home and our finances. We can get through being hungry sometimes. We can even get through the loss of loved ones because we know that we will be with them again in the afterlife, which is eternal, and this is just a short, tiny physical life experience, right? Unless we are channeling in the demonic, channeling in Satan, living in ways that are hurting other people. Even if you're hurting one person, for example, the scapegoat child, doesn't matter what kind of other good you're doing. If you're hurting and tormenting one person throughout their entire lives, that's connected to God. Because how do you think God is going to respond to that? I had to move into the house because my camera just started to overheat. It said the temperature was too high and I had to move in here. So consider filling your heart and your mind and your life with love, generosity, kindness, inclusion, service to others, and most of all, to God, God of heaven. Yeah, because what's the alternative, right? It's something that you probably wouldn't want for eternity. And if you are a scapegoat child, like I am, or was until I removed myself from that whole environment after giving so many chances over and over again and being hurt intentionally over and over again through Satan, through people that are making that decision, you too will be okay. There will be justice for you in the end. Absolutely. Absolutely. So just know that. Just know that you can free yourself from all of that with this information, with this knowledge, and with filling yourself with God. And this will help you as well getting through these really hard, evil times. And one other thing I wanted to let you know before I end today is that I believe that the blockchain, the digital IDs, all of that is the mark of the beast, or at least the major part of the mark of the beast. So do everything you can to avoid it. Fill yourself with love and God and community. Do everything you can to avoid this blockchain, digital ID, digital currency, data breaches on your privacy. Do your own research. Get involved with groups that are more off-grid and away from that, and help yourselves. That's what I'm trying to do. I know it's difficult. I'm still working in that direction too, as hard as I can, and my daughter is on board with that. I do have others in my family that are in denial right now, so all I can do is pray for them. So good luck, everybody. I love you so much, and I will be back on here again. I'm just not exactly sure when. I have been working on some other things. So God bless everybody. Bye-bye.